Hi, BookTube. Welcome to Jackie's Literary Corner. I am Jackie, and this is part 2 for my favorite books of 2022. So I decided to put this in two parts, because I've been interrupted quite a few times. So I've had to film the video multiple times, and I'm not even going in order anymore. I'm just grabbing whatever I have here. So, I decided, just in case I get interrupted again, at least I filmed half of my books, because even like the last video, I got so annoyed by the interruption that, on camera I was just getting very upset. So I don't want to, so I couldn't even use, that to be like, just make that part one and just do another video. So, because I would be embarrassing and awkward for you guys to see how that video ended. So, but this go around, I was smart and was like, I'm going to stop there and then just do a part 2 in case, I get interrupted. Okay, so hopefully this one won't get interrupted. Fingers crossed. Although I don't know when my dad's coming home, so. But anyway, let's continue. Where did I leave off? Okay, so I was going to talk about Engines of Empire by R.S. Ford. So this was a first book, and I don't know if it's going to be a trilogy or series, but I know it's going to be either one of those, or a duology. It could be The Age of Uprising. And this was a great first book. I had a good time with this. I like how the magic felt kind of steampunk, with the whole idea of using magic to fuel technology. And I like that it wasn't a monarchy. Like, it was just guilds. Different people running different operations on this island. And our main family runs the Transportation Guild. The family patriarch has died, so it's just the matriarch and her 3 children. And they're not children, but I'm just referring them as her children. And this is another book, just like Dune, where you get the mother's perspective. You get her story. You even get a little of her background, of her previous love interest before she was arranged to marry their father. And we just see how much she loves her children, is trying to teach them and protect them, just as, Paul's mother Jessica is trying to do for him. And she sends, and we get a little bit of a colonization theme with the daughter, where she gets sent away to take on more responsibilities because the mom feels like her daughter is not ready. And, she ends up getting lost in the jungle after she witnesses her cousin's murder. And she interacts with the natives and learns how to defend herself and learns how to take care of herself without magic. And learns how to appreciate animals, and they teach her how to pray for a soul, even if you need to kill it to survive. So, and then we have her other 2, her brothers, and one of them is kind of the catalyst for the events where that sets everything off, because he is forced to kind of be, even though he wants to be left alone, he ends up being forced to be a guide to the emissary, and then she gets assassinated. He gets framed for her murder. And it was really, and now I feel like we didn't get everything of this world, like, because we went back and forth between all these people, all these characters, this family. Like, we didn't get a lot of the magic system and how the politics work in this world. But yeah, it was really fun, a great start to a series, and like I said, I'm glad I discovered this book before I heard about it, because I know Ellie Brooks read it, and she liked it too. So this was really fun. Okay, now we have another one of my nonfictions I read in January, and that is SPQR by Mary Beard, which I heard about on BookTube not too long ago. I mean, well, I see it's been a long time. I don't even remember who I heard it, but I want to say it's Olive from Book Olive, but that could be I could just be assuming that because she's kind of like the nonfiction guru at BookTube, I feel like, or at least I know she's a major player in reading nonfiction. But this was really good. It really inspired me and really got me interested in ancient Rome. And I even was motivated partly by this book to buy The Decline and Fall of the Roman Empire. The other part was because Steve Donahue did a video, his March of the Penguins video on that book. It was really easy to read. It wasn't boring. It was fun. Of course, I'm interested in the topic, so that might be why it's not boring. And it was just really very easy to read and get, and I think it's a great starting point for if you want to learn about ancient Rome. But yeah, this was really good. I would like to reread at some point. Like, it covered the basic important points of the history. It didn't cover everything. It didn't go into too much detail, but enough to get me intrigued and inspired. Okay. And then this was the first book I read this year. It was Imaginary Friend by Stephen Chbosky, which this one I got originally borrowed from the library, but seeing how long it is, I was like, I want to continue the story and I don't want to have to keep renewing it, so I'm just going to buy it on paperback. And this was so good. It explores good versus evil. It does sort of have Christian themes, but it's not heavy-handed. And the only character that I feel like there was definitely some exploration of Christian themes is this teenage girl who was trying so hard to be good and told by her church and by her parents that if she's not perfect and pure, she won't go to heaven. And that struggle and this voice in her head that tells her she is sinful and she needs to be good and perfect. And her whole struggle of trying to live up to those expectations and trying to be a good, perfect, good little girl when she's a teenager who's emotional and hormonal and just wants to be with her boyfriend. And, you know, is not sure she should trust her own judgment. But this was, and I like how, once again, this is another one that, the other one that really we get the mom's perspective and her struggles to try to take care of and protect her child. And how she loves him more than anything. And she's just struggling to do the right thing. And there's a voice in her head who keeps saying, oh, you know, you have to do it this way or you won't be a good mother. And just, I love getting the mom's perspective in these stories. I feel like I don't get a lot of that, which maybe is because for years I read YA. But, this was really good. And I don't mind longer horror because you really get to know the characters and it slowly gets to the scary stuff. While you have scary stuff sprinkled throughout. And also, like with Stephen King, this author seems to be Chbosky seems to be really good at showing the madness of a small town, how a small town with dark secrets and skeletons in the closet can be infected by darkness and how it can slowly become chaos. And this was so good. I really enjoyed this. It was a great way to start the year. And we have my other favorite historical fiction of the year, The Historian by Elizabeth Kostovo. And I do have another one of her books I just bought recently. And this was really good. I love the writing. I like how it explores the idea of what if Dracula was real? Like, you have the actual history combined with the mythology of Dracula as a vampire. And how they, you know, it's like he may be alive. He might still be out there. And we do have some romance. I do prefer the second one romance out of the three is my favorite. And as a kind of someone who does love history and is a bit of a nerd, I love all the history scenes and them researching and trying to piece together everything. I really love all that stuff. That was really fun. But I don't think every vampire fan is going to love this because there's always the threat of vampires. But there's not a lot of vampire action. There is some. But it's like, I feel like it's not as heavy as like it, you know, like Stephen King's Salem's Lot or, although it's, I think, you know, if you like the original Dracula, maybe. But anyway, this was just so good. I love the writing and I definitely want to reread this again too at some point. But I want to read some of the author's other work first. And then, yeah, have this one, Deborah Harkness's History and Discovery of Witches, and I have not read book 2 yet, but I do have the series on Blu-ray because it became a TV series on AMC, but unfortunately I have to buy it if I want to get the watch the reruns. But I really like this. It does have a lot of similarities to Twilight, but I think this is better than Twilight, in my opinion. And it's really good. Again, you have a lot of history elements, and I like how this one actually explores some of the history. Like, we're told bits and pieces of history in Twilight, but I feel like this one we find out that our vampire character knew Machiavelli and all these famous historical figures and his opinions on them in person, how they really were. I thought that, and those scenes always amused me. I mean, it does have a lot of the elements that that some people who aren't big fans of vampire stories complain about, the controlling, obsessive, So, I mean, he does feel somewhat like Edward, our vampire character, but I definitely like Diane better than Bella. She's more interesting to me and more intriguing to me. And also she's a witch, so I think she's, could handle herself better than Bella can. Like, she can actually defend herself. Bella did not have any powers until she became a vampire. And also, this was just so good. And it's a bit long, but it was just really good and really fun to read. It's just pure fluff with danger. And, I like how it takes place at Oxford. And we, as a big nerd. And it's just, all the history stuff was so much fun. And even the science stuff I didn't mind, Like, I think because it has a fantastical element where they're studying the DNA in the blood of vampires and witches and stuff. But I think what's nice about the show is we explore outside of what's going on with Diana, because this isn't Diana's perspective. And I think we do get a little bit of Matthew's perspective, but mostly we're with Diana. So there's things that are going on outside of Oxford in the world of witches and vampires and daemons that we don't really get because Diana doesn't witness it. Diana is not around when this is going on. So that's the only problem with being in her perspective. And that's one of the things that irks me about first-person perspective, that it limits our viewpoint. Which I think sometimes it can help. Like, for young adult books, I think it puts you in the shoes of the main character, and young adult authors, I think that's what they want you to do. They want the reader to put themselves in the main character's shoes, and feel like they can relate to them. And this one, it does more than, but with the series, I think I kind of wanted to know what was going on, because then all of a sudden we're introduced these two new characters towards later on in the story that all of a sudden, like, where do they come from? What's their deal? But because, of course, I mean, we do find out what their deal is, but it just felt almost out of nowhere. I think that's because we were mostly in Diana's head. So it's not like we knew what was going on, why these people showed up. Like, we find out, but we don't really, it feels like they just came out of nowhere. But either way, I still love this, and I look forward to reading the next book in the All Souls trilogy before I watch the next season 2. Okay, so next we have I only have 2 more books to go, and thankfully, knock on wood, Dad's not here yet, so I might be good. I might be able to finish this. So, Devil in the White City. This was really good. I really liked this. I think because it also felt like I was reading a narrative. Like, it felt like a story almost. Now I get the criticisms of how this could have been 2 stories, because we have the H.H. Holmes story where his murder spree, but we also have the creation of the Chicago World's Fair. And the author puts those 2 together, running them parallel to each other. And the connection, I think, like, what he was trying to do was saying that H.H. Holmes was kind of using the World's Fair as an excuse to lure victims to him. And at one point he does use it as a distraction for one of his victims. Get some tickets, gets her and her sister tickets to go to the World's Fair. And he creates a business of a place where they can stay, his victims can stay, and then eventually he traps them there. But I liked both. I thought both were engaging. Again, I guess I'm one of those people who is intrigued by serial killers, and I shouldn't be, because I should be all about the victims. But you know what? We just are fascinated by these people. We want to understand them and why they're like, why would they go to do such horrible things, kill such innocent people? What is wrong with them? We want to understand, I think. And it's just so creepy and unsettling, and there were so many disturbing things about, I wouldn't read that story by itself. And then we have the whole creation of the World's Fair and the struggle of that, and how it was so hard for him to create, through the guy who created it, and watching it, being like the ups and downs of it. And I actually liked that too. I know for some people they prefer the story of H.H. Holmes, because that stuff to them was kind of boring, but I actually kind of liked it. I thought it was so intriguing and so much fun to learn about it. And if I could get access, I would love to watch the movie, because they are doing a movie adaptation finally with Leo DiCaprio, I think, is involved. I don't know if it's still going on, but that's what happens. Sometimes a lot of things in books can be greenlighted as an adaptation, and then it doesn't happen for one reason or another. But I really had a good time with this. This was really, and it was also very easy reading. It was not that hard. It wasn't super dense. It was really riveting. So finally, this is actually the last book I read. I ended the year out with this book. I agree with Greg from Supposedly Fun that, to wait until January 1st, or in my case later, because, things happened at the beginning. I went on a little mini vacation at the beginning of January, and I just got back, literally, as I'm filming this. You might come across a book in December that is a favorite. So, I mostly reread A Christmas Carol, and then I read The Haunted Man. I don't know what else I read in December. I think I read one more thing other than the one I'm going to show you. But Shakespeare's King Lear. Oh, I think I know what. I didn't read a lot also because I worked a lot beginning of December, and then, the beginning of December, we saw my sister, and then I worked a lot right before Christmas, and then Christmas happened, and then on the Boxing Day, my sister came back up to visit us with the kids and everything, and then, so I just didn't get really a chance to do a lot of reading in December, but I read this King Lear, and I have a new favorite Shakespeare. I love this book. This play, I should say. This was such an intriguing play, and I would love to see it performed on stage. Especially hearing the background of this play, and how Shakespeare kind of changed the ending a little bit from the actual history, because I'm guessing King Lear was a real person, and what happened really did happen. But like I said, for dramatic purposes, for his play, he changed it to make it more tragic. So how it ended, it's really, but I was so riveted to the story. I mean, there were times when I got a little confused, but I think reading the stuff beforehand, talking about Shakespeare's language and what the story was about and its history, really helped me understand the story. Like I don't normally read introductions because they can be so long and can potentially spoil the story, but this one kind of was more explaining things about the play. In the language of Shakespeare. So that really, especially that part really helped. But, this was this King Lear is ready to retire, and he wants to decide which of his daughters is going to take his place on the throne, and his favorite daughter ends up disappointing him with what she says, because he asks him to flatter him, and she doesn't want to do that. She doesn't want to try to come up with, explain her love and loyalty to her father. And she also doesn't agree with his way of running things, and is very worried about, okay, this might be important. Let me just see what my dad said. I'm almost done anyway. I'm on the last one. Sorry, that might have been an important one. That's the problem about these interruptions. They might be important, but I'm in the last book anyway, so sorry about that. But I wish I knew how to edit, so I could edit stuff like that out. But I don't know how to do that. That might be the next thing I learn. The problem is I need to know someone who's really good at this kind of stuff, and my parents aren't. But and it's just and there are moments when the daughters, when her sister, when she's says, when he's like, tell me how much you love me. I thought that moment in the beginning of the play was really amusing because they're just like, we love you, Daddy. You're the best. You are such a great leader, and blah blah blah. And it's just Cordelia the favorite. Like, I don't know what to say. I don't think I should. She's very conflicted about it. And it was so funny. And I feel like it can be relatable. Like really relatable, that idea, and having to, having your parents having a favorite child, and the other one is, your other children flattering you, and when really they don't necessarily mean it. And it was, I can't really explain why, but I just loved this story, and it was just so engaging, and just the struggle, and I feel like a lot of people can relate to it in modern day, like having a favorite child, like I said, and your children kind of sucking up to you just to get what they want. Like a lot of kids, especially younger kids, will be like, they'll say stuff, flattering stuff, and then your parents are like, okay, what do you want? And then the idea of, I think a lot of older parents, when they get to that point, like, I think a lot of them deal with the fact that, sorry, my nose was itchy. The idea of their kids feeling like, telling them they're, senile now. They're getting too old. And I think a lot of older parents can feel like, no, I'm not. I'm not too old. And like his two other daughters, thinking they're, are trying to gaslight him to thinking, well, you're old as you shouldn't be the king anymore, and we can take care of you. And they keep trying to gaslight him to that, thinking he's losing his mind, and people do not trust his judgment. I mean, even Cordelia and the nobleman Kent, also, they're concerned about him, but they don't think he's crazy. They just think he's being manipulated, and he's blinded by his children. And we also have the subplot of the Duke of Gloucester, I think, and his own son. Like, he has a bastard and then his biological child, and the bastard Edmund is like pissed because he feels like because he's a bastard, he's seen as a second class citizen. And it does open with Gloucester kind of mocking the fact that his son is a bastard, that Edmund's a bastard, kind of making a joke about it. And I think he does love, as much as he can, loves Edmund. And you can't entirely blame Edmund for being a little pissed. He just takes it a little too far. He basically forges a letter and is like, Edgar is trying to kill me. And of course, Gloucester believes him. Like, so he's a lot like with Lear. He is blindsided by his children, and he doesn't realize which child loves him and which child is the child who actually genuinely loves him and is a good child, and is loyal. But I loved his character, even though, Edmund, even though he was a dick, he was a really good character, because he was just, you could kind of see where he's coming from. He just, like I said, took it a little too far. And, like, and just, it was just so good. I can't really, I would love to see this on stage performed. It was just so good. I mean, even if I can find next to a DVD of it, of a show, of a live performance, I would be good with that. But yeah, this was really good, and I'm glad I ended the year with this one. And now I can read The Queens of Innislea, which is a retelling of the story. And I think it's from the daughter's perspectives. But yeah, this was really good. So I made it! I covered all of them. I just had to do 2 separate videos. So anyway, and sorry, unfortunately I still get uninterrupted and did answer text in the middle of the video. That's probably unprofessional, but you know what? I wasn't going to stop filming, and it might have been important. I mean, it actually really wasn't that important, but, I just figured, just to, besides, my dad always bugs me about not answering my phone, so I figured, let me go ahead and answer it, just prove to him that I do answer my phone. But anyway, I hope you guys like this video, and weren't annoyed by my interrupted being, taking time to answer a text on my video. Like I said, I wish I knew how to edit that stuff out, but I don't. So, anyway, I hope you guys like this video. And if you do, please give it a thumbs up. Click subscribe if you haven't already. Click the bell notification below if you want to be notified. And as I said in the previous video, I'd love to know what your favorite books of the year are. Share in the comments below. Or if you watch my channel and aren't a reader, because I think there are a few people that aren't, well, or reading is not their top priority, I guess. Well, you know what, all you guys probably are readers, but, anyway, okay, that's one of the things I wish I could edit out, because it sounds stupid now, but anyway, well, basically feel free to share what your favorites are, and you know what, share what I was trying to get at is if you don't just love books, but you also like watching movies and TV shows, come and share what that is. Maybe we have common favorite TV shows or books, or movies. So I will talk to y'all later. I don't know when this will go up because it's kind of late now, and I know we're going to be eating dinner when my dad gets back. So anyway, I will talk to y'all later. All right, bye.